My wake-up call, I would say, came when my brother went into the hospital and I realized I already lost a grandmother, lost a father, lost a brother, might lose another brother, and I realized I'm not in a different situation than they are. I decided at that point it was important for me to take care of my diabetes and take control of it. My grandmother, she was the first person I knew who had diabetes, and she had gone into a diabetic coma, went into the hospital, developed pneumonia, and she passed away from the complications from pneumonia. My father was diabetic as well. His biggest problem was neuropathy, where he lost feeling in his extremities. He couldn't feel his feet, and he couldn't feel his hands. He would hold his cigarettes till they would burn down to the nub, and he'd be burning his fingers. His fingers were constantly black with little scars on them. He wouldn't realize that it had burnt down to his hand, and us as children would have to say, "Hey, Dad, your cigarette's burning you again." Stepped on a piece of glass, it started getting gangrenous, and I remember black lines snaking up from his foot all the way up into his calves and up into his thighs, and the doctor said if it goes up any further, we won't be able to do anything and you're going to die. So he anguished over for quite some time whether to lose his leg or not, and he finally decided it was better to lose a leg than it was to die. My brother developed diabetes, never really took it very seriously, and by the time he was in his mid-20s, had already lost his vision, had neuropathy, and all kinds of kidney problems. And here my brother was, he was only in his mid-30s, and he's on a dialysis already. And I remember I was talking to him one day about, why did you decide to stop driving? He said he was on his way to work. He went right through an intersection and people were honking at him. He's throwing his hands up going, "What are they honking at?" And he realized the light was red and he couldn't see it. He died from complications of diabetes from a heart attack. My brother Michael, he came down with diabetes and he thought he was controlling it, and his diabetes had worked up into heart issues for him. So he went through open heart surgery while we were up there visiting with him. After visiting my brother and getting this wake-up call that could be me down there. That could be me that they're going to a funeral for. So what I love about having my diabetes managed at Kelsey-Seybold is with all the clinics, I live on the northwest side of town. I work on the south side of town. So Kelsey can work with me depending on what my schedule is. I like the idea also that if I have other problems from the diabetes, that Kelsey has such a wide variety of specialists that no matter what I need to control my diabetes, I have a doctor available like Kelsey that can help me. My wife also, she had been diagnosed with diabetes. So one of the things that the case manager was talking to me about was I need to introduce some exercise into my life. I was pretty sedentary up to that point. I was well over 300 pounds and knew that a lot of my problem was due to weight and a sedentary lifestyle. And she would set little goals and she would tell me, all right, let's just work on getting a few steps in. How about we do 3 days a week where you walk for at least 15 or 20 minutes a night? Well, I came home and talked to my wife about it, and we thought a good idea would be, why don't we just go walk through the neighborhood? We had a dog at the time, and so it'd be great to give the dog some exercise. We'd get some exercise. Well, got to the point where I found out, no, this isn't so bad. I got the time to do this. I could spend 15, 20 minutes at night to do this. And then miraculously, my weight started shedding. And we changed up some of the foods that we were eating. We introduced a lot more fresh vegetables and fruit into our diet. We took a lot of meats out. And I was a steak and potato guy before, so now I'm a little steak and potato and a lot of green vegetables guy now. Eating smaller meals throughout the day, not eating big meals at one time, just controlling your portion sizes. And I tried that, and I thought I was going to be starving, but because eating 6 times a day, actually I was great. Diabetes is one of those things that when you first get diagnosed with it, they start you on the pills, everything works great, and you're wondering, what's the problem with diabetes? I'm perfectly healthy, my blood sugar is fine right now. But over time, your body doesn't produce as much insulin as it needs to. Your pancreas weakens, your body can't utilize the insulin as well as it did, so you need more medication. Then you might have to move to some other medications that require shots, and then I moved to insulin. And so now I'm insulin dependent along with oral medications. and I had to take matter of fact, the maximum doses of insulin I can to try to keep my diabetes under control.
Sometimes when you have diabetes, you think, oh, well, my numbers are okay. But diabetes is a sneaky disease. It catches up with you, and you need to take it seriously. If not, there's horrifying things it can do to you.
Working with the case manager kind of opened my eyes, and having to be accountable to someone who's going to call me up every month and say, Mr. Ray, here was our goal. Did you achieve it this month? Did you do it? My last visit to the doctor, my A1C, which tells me what my average blood sugar has been for the last few months, had always been up around 10 or 11. It was down in the 7s, which is, maybe not be great. It's not exactly what doctors want. They want a little bit lower than that. But for me, that's the lowest it had been in over 5 or 6 years. To constantly be checked, to make sure my kidneys are functioning properly. I wait with bated breath every time I do blood work to make sure my numbers come back correctly. Once you start losing the weight, once you start seeing the positive results, I think it becomes the thing that you desire. So you want to keep losing the weight. You want to keep exercising. You want to keep eating right. I often think that I wish science fiction movies were true sometimes. I would like to take my current self and go back to my younger self and tell myself what diabetes can do to your body, how it can ravage your health, how it affects you, and take it seriously at a younger age. Now I have grandkids, so even if I don't do it for myself, I need to do it for them. I think you owe it to yourself to go in and get checked up regularly by a doctor. You might be okay. It's great. It's wonderful. But if you start showing those signs of diabetes, get it checked out. Start working with the programs that they give you. Don't wait until you start actually seeing the signs of diabetes, because then it's too late.